You're live.
Perfect. Thanks.
All right. Welcome to this week's episode of MLS Fantasy Insider, our preview of round 20. No. Fantasy Insider, our preview of. What is it? What round is it? 20. Right?
19?
Nah.
I don't remember. We'll start over in a second. I'm still getting a few things set up.
Hey, YouTube, sorry. Let's double check it. I don't think, did he do it on YouTube? I don't see it, so that might be great.
I just got it up on YouTube. That's what I was.
Okay. Perfect. Hey, YouTube, enjoy this bonus content.
Yeah, we are on week 19.
Yeah, round 19, right?
Yeah, round 19.
Okay.
So where I was saying that, and we'll let YouTube people that are here first that won't get in the podcast. What I was saying is I'm going to push it for Skylar because I don't like the way Champions League is set up all the time. I think instead of 200, it should be 250. And you run.
Yeah, I like that.
You run 4 qualifiers, like we have been, top 50 from each qualifier get in. And then you take the top 50 ranked players that have not qualified. I doubt we see a top 50 player in the overall Miss Champions League, but I know last year we had multiple top 100 players in the overall that missed out on Champions League because they were never top 50 in any of those single sprints. So my thing was going to be reward those people with the next 50 by overall rank if they can do it and get them in and then do a top 250 tournament there.
I see that.
I would hate to have somebody be top 50 and never having been top 50 in one of the Champions League qualifiers and miss out.
Yeah. There was the first year we did it, I ended the year ranked within the top 100, but I never made Champions League.
And that's why I said get the next 50 in. The chances are you're going to pick up quite a few of the top players that way. They just couldn't win one of those sprints and stay there. And I think those players should be rewarded for winning the season or being that good in the overall rankings at the end of the season.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Shall we get our intro content in for Reid?
Sure.
All right. You ready? Hi, Patrick. Okay. Welcome to MLS Fantasy Insider, our preview of round 19, our episode 21 of the 2022 season. This episode is brought to you by DCU. No, wait. Hold on. Nope. Last minute, no warning. I'm actually told we are brought to you by Vancouver Whitecaps because who doesn't love a cross-continental surprise? No, sorry. Actually, brought to you by the amazing Patreon supporters of the MLS Fantasy Insider. It's because of your support we're able to keep this project going. I am your co-host, Ashley Savage, joined tonight by longtime co-host Blayne Riffle. Blayne, how's it going?
Good. How are you, Ashley?
Good. We are down the most important man, I might say. No offense, Blayne. Reid is out tonight taking care of Baby Roo and Lady MLS Fantasy. What did you call it? Lady Fantasy Boss? Either way, it's a whatever she goes by. I love it. So we are running the show tonight. Thankfully, Reid was able to start all the tech stuff for me, so no one had to deal with any of my incompetence as we navigated a few weeks back. No special guests tonight. Blayne and I are just gonna run through what seems to me to be a pretty straightforward round 19. But we'll see how we feel once we get into it. So first off, I guess let's touch on how we did in round 18. Just in case anybody forgot, round 18 was the last round of the third section of Champions League. So if you didn't make it in or haven't made it in yet, this next round starts the last section for the fourth opportunity to get into Champions League. So yeah, Blayne, how'd you do?
144. Not as great as it could have been. I think if I hadn't switched away from Zella and Cucho, it would have been closer to a 170. Left a few points on the table, but I had some other thought process behind that. I was not in Champions League. I saw the lineups come out. I saw the heavy rotation. I panicked a little bit, and I really liked the way I had seen Minnesota playing. I liked the 2 matchups they had. I liked the rotation and injuries for Sporting that they were running into that first game. So I thought, let's triple up on Minnesota attack. Reynoso paid off as my captain. Emeria got a nice 11 for the round. Not great, but better than some of the other options I saw that were talked about. But Fragapane did not hit. He got me a 7. I gambled big on these guys. I thought if they do what they should against Sporting, if they do what they should against DC, and DC's not back together yet, this could be my chance to really leapfrog a lot of other players and go with some heavy differential rotation and see what would happen. If those guys would have hit and a couple of the other guys had some middling scores, I think I might have been able to pull it off. As it stands, I'm about 70 points down. You give me those 25 points back that I gave up there. I'm about 50 points out of Champions League. A little bit of changes there, and if things break my way, maybe it turns out a little better for me overall. Not upset with my scores outside of those guys. I took some risks. I liked what I had. I got a decent score. I would have had a really good score if I hadn't tinkered away, but I gambled trying to make Champions League and it didn't pay off. It was final one. I dropped about 50 ranks in the overall ranking, dropped about 200 ranks in FCL ranking because of it, but I very easily could be sitting here tonight talking about having made Champions League with a gutsy play, and that's what I was hoping for. Didn't work out. I've got one more chance to try to get in.
Yeah. I had a week that I didn't love either. I should have had a 171. I had a 153. I lost all my head-to-heads, and I dropped from 51 overall to 70 overall. I tinkered Zella away, and I tinkered the Chicago defender away. This was an extra tinkery week for me. I was busy when lineups came out, and so I was able to look at them, but I just kind of didn't follow my gut and change some things I had. If I just left it and didn't even check them, would have been 171. So I made Champions League last round. Still, overall 70 isn't anything for me to be incredibly upset about. So I feel like I'm just pouting for no reason with my 153. I also lost to Skylar by 3 points in head-to-head, and so that was really crushing me. So, but yeah, Reid also came in with a 149. He's saying that he thought that was good, and he looked at other scores and looks like a lot of people killed it. I'm seeing some crazy scores in chat. Patrick got a 188, which is crazy that he was even touching distance of 200. I see some 187, 175. Gene making it in a fantasy league. That's great. 154, 152. So I think if you were anywhere around that like 140-ish and up, you had a good week. This was a kind of a tricky double game week with how some people we thought would crush didn't, and how some Columbus players we didn't think would crush really crushed it. Yeah. So yeah, I guess let's just go ahead and get into it. Let's talk about some of the things that we took away from this round. I'll go ahead and start just by saying the obvious that Zella and Chucho are amazing. Blayne, when off air, made a comment that, and I think you said it last week, right? That when Columbus have a striker, and that's always been the case for Zella, and Chucho looks legit. They're still monitoring his minutes. He came in the second half of the first game, and then he left at the 60 for the second. So I don't know that he's at full 90, but he is putting up some great fantasy points and also looking like he can be a real goal scoring threat, which helps Zella's production like crazy. Also not as flashy, but Reynoso and Mukhtar still scoring this week, some from the PK spot, some not. But those two still seem to be hitting a pretty decent stride. And then I don't know if it's going to be this week or next week, because I've seen some conflicting things, but just farewell to Tati. Looks like Tati Castellanos, our fantasy favorite, is heading abroad. I know I will miss him and his short shorts and his goals and his craziness. But he only had the one goal this weekend, but that's just a takeaway for me from this past weekend is farewell to Tati. Blayne, what about you?
Yeah, just with this week, I think everybody kind of got burned by it, or a lot of people got burned by it. And the ones that didn't are sitting here agreeing with this. Sub-ins are a real thing. This rotation, especially when teams are trying to stay or fight for playoff spots, move up the table a little bit. We saw Zella and Kucho come in at halftime, maybe a little later. of that first game. They both started on the bench. Had an amazing result for those two in that first game. Just if you've got a really good read on a sure thing, we see a lot of sub-ins. Maybe don't let those get away from you. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people kept stuck with those two, and it paid off for them. So just watch that. Keep that in mind. This has been one of the first big double game weeks where we've seen the sub-ins really come in huge. But that's something just you got to watch for. Don't get scared on that first one, especially if the second matchup is one you really like. On top of that, it was a wild week, double game week. Fagundes outscored Driussi. I know a lot of people had Driussi, but Fagundes is legit this year. He's a solid second mid, and honestly, probably a little more steady for a double game week than Driussi. In a one-off, I wouldn't take him, but over two, I think it's great. And then chat wouldn't let me live it down if I didn't say it. Zardes made the dream team for the first time this season with the
my gosh, how did I miss that?
Yeah.
Get it. Yeah, he did.
Goal in the second game. I can't remember if he got one in the first game. I don't watch as much Colorado. That's just not in me.
That's okay.
Yeah, he scored a goal in both games. Got an 8 and a 9 for a 17 and made the team of the week. So that's maybe we got to put him on the radar if Colorado's going to start scoring.
For his price? I mean...
Price, absolutely.
Yeah.
Price isn't an option usually right now.
No, not as much for most of us at this point. But, yeah, that's crazy. I didn't realize. Your boy doing it again. I love it. Well, I'm going to apologize out the gate here because, no, we have to pause before housekeeping, don't we?
Yeah, usually we do.
I know, we forget. I feel like Reid should leave us a play-by manual of like exactly when to pause and what buttons to push.
Well, we just need to update the rundown to have pause.
Yeah, brief pause for intro music. Okay, so YouTube, thanks for bearing with us here. You guys get all the good stuff between Blayne and me. We will pause for Reid to insert. Okay. Moving on to our housekeeping section, and this is where I will apologize because without our fearless leader, we are down to just 2 leagues that we can update because Reid's the one that has access to all the other leagues. So I will say that in our Pro Rel leagues, and chat, feel free to jump in here. I'm sure Patrick knows these things. In the Veterans League for Pro Rel, throwing in the cowl, which again, I say this often, you guys know I love a pun. So I think I'm secretly rooting for them, even though that's the league I'm in, is back on top at 14-0-4. And then, Blayne, in your league, it looks like you have another new top spot, yeah?
Yeah, we had a great week this week over here. A lot of guys went down. We are now down to 2 teams at 16-0-2, and they leapfrog up. Terminator Legion listed as Nex is the username, and I know that I think Nex is Discord. Took the top spot away, and then McBean All-Stars actually beat me in a head-to-head this week to retain their spot and stick in second. Both of these guys are 16-0-2 at the moment, just under 1,500 total points. And we've got several players, just over 1,800 total points, and we've got a lot of players in that 1,800 range at the top of the table. So we can see a lot of flip-flopping here with wins and losses, and points are all neck and neck. Development League is going to be fun to watch through the finish now.
Yeah. And then coming through for us, as always, Patrick's letting me know that Champions League is tied. Him and Todd Modasetti at 14-1-3. And I do see that Reid let him down there this past week, losing to Todd Modasetti. So just a tie there with Patrick on top. I think Patrick's been on top of that league for most of this season. So hopefully he can ride that out. Or whoever. Let the best player win, yeah?
Way to go, Todd. Todd's one of my draft league guys, too. So I love seeing my draft guys get up there. And Nex is actually in chat tonight. So congrats, Nex, for taking the top spot.
Yeah, this is a good comment. Development League needs to be renamed Super Tight League. I like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about round 19. This upcoming round, no double game week, no midweek games. The first game of the round is going to be Saturday, July 23rd at 7 p.m. Eastern time. You guys know that's hard for me. And it's going to be NYCFC kicking off against Inter Miami, which again, as I mentioned at the top of the show, sounds like it might be Tati Castellanos' last game if we haven't already seen his last game. Not to give anything away, but if he is playing and this is his last game at Yankee Stadium, I love him. I want him in my team. Okay, so there are no bye teams this week. I feel like that's wrong. And if you are a switcheroo targeter, as we often are, the last game of the weekend is LA Galaxy Atlanta on Sunday. So those would be your switcheroo targeted players. Both those teams have some good. If you got the money, just like throw in Miles Robinson and Brooks Lennon in there for scrubs. You know those guys aren't going to play. And the Galaxy have a couple good striker and defender scrubs as well. In our suspensions and injuries, I know we have a couple updates there. Blayne, what do you got?
Yeah, thanks Discord and Ranch for getting this over to us. We've got some good news to start with. Diego Luna for RSL has come in after a solid U20 campaign with the national team. If he gets to play, he should do some good things. Sporting has switched over to playing Shallowy as a false nine lately, but the new guy, William Agata, was on the bench this week, and he is in training. So that look for potential changes there. He may be a cheap entry point to get in there. Justin Glad returns after 3 weeks out with an injury. João Moutinho was on the bench. He isn't playing yet, but he was on the bench, which is a good sign for Orlando. And then Jordi Mihailovic got a 30-minute cameo as he's coming back to fitness. Unsure if he's going to start the next one, how quickly they're going to push him. They are so far up the table, they may just not risk aggravating it. So be careful. But he is back. If he is starting, I expect an early sub. That's my personal take. So take him at your own risk. But if you want him, he was on an MVP run and could possibly get right back to that form. So watch that one. Lots of suspensions this week. Lucho Acosta is out another game. He got a couple of games added for touching the ref. And so that will carry over to this one. Steven Moreira for Columbus is out on accumulation. Danny Wilson for Colorado. DePay for the Galaxy. Bryce Duke and Damian Lowe are both out for Miami on yellow card accumulation. Kamal Miller picked up a red card for Montreal. Bedoya, who has quietly been having a solid season for Philly, is out on yellow cards. Sebastian Blanco is on our watch list. It's looking like he's on yellow card accumulation, but there may be a good game or good behavior incentive that it triggered somewhere in there, and he may be down one. So we're going to keep an eye on that as we can. And then bad news for my team again. Courtney Ford picked up a 10-game PED suspension on that one. He was one of their starting center backs. And then Roger Espinosa extended his all-time league lead for red cards with another one this week. I think he's up to 15 total in his career in MLS. So he will be out for another week.
Yeah, I saw that in OptaStats, been sent off more than any other MLS player of all time. So.
Yep. He's just extending the lead. He got that award last year, early this year.
He's just beating his own record at this point, yeah.
Yeah, and then injury-wise, we've got Will Trapp from Minnesota was missing with hamstring tightness. A big name to watch out for is Taxi with DC. They're saying it's a minor injury, and it was a precautionary thing that he missed the second game, but he is one we will have to keep an eye on. He's a guy we like.
It's worth noting he doesn't often go a full 90 already, so who knows how that might play into it.
Yeah, Tim Melia has missed back-to-back games with a shoulder injury, so the hits keep coming for Kansas City. And then Gaston Jimenez for Chicago it's an unlisted injury, but he is out at the moment.
Yep. I do see Cam's posting in us in chat. Thank you, Cam, that Blanco is out on yellow card accumulation. He just got his 6th and had 1 good behavior.
And to go with chat, any word on Tinnerboom? That he was listed as a lower leg. I know that's what he's had most of the season that kept him out. He did get some minutes, and then he's back out again. I don't know if he aggravated it. I haven't heard too much there, but he's one that I'm just – and Gray is playing so well. He's one I'm going to say is just don't really take a risk on unless you see him in the lineup.
Yeah. And then there's enough players in that back line producing points. You don't need to take him.
And then next said no Atlanta players, but Lennon and Robinson are still out. It's just they've been out for so long we don't keep them on the list.
That's not new. I will ask, and maybe Trent knows something. Does Tyler have any notes there about Chicharito, who did not feature at all this week?
I do not have anything on him. I didn't realize he was out.
Yeah, he missed both games in his double game week. I'll dig into that.
Yeah, and I don't know if he was even on the bench for those.
He was not.
Yeah, Javelchik's been playing so well, and Chicharito has not been scoring.
Looks like it was COVID.
Yeah.
So either health and safety protocols or COVID for Chicharito is what kept him out. So we'll see if that comes into play this week. They're the last game of the week against a pretty banged up Atlanta defense. So could be of interest to some people. So good to know. But yes, I agree with you that the other striker for the Galaxy has been playing quite well. I also really enjoyed Patrick's comment that the only injury to Atlanta this week was Josef Martinez's hurt feelings, because he sure did really get one there, and I like that. So it's worth mentioning. Okay, let's get into it. Let's get into the nitty gritty here of what the people come here to listen to is who do we like this next week. Like I said, round 19 compared to round 18, this massive double game week we just had, I think is a little more straightforward. You have some kind of informed teams being the home team. Not too much of a shakeup. No buys. I would consider it a pretty level week. So let's go ahead and get into who we're looking at this week. So for keepers and defenders, I particularly like Johnson to either Fry or Stuver. Sorry, Reid will love editing that. I like Atlanta at home, which is what's making me like Stuver maybe as a keeper if my bench keeper doesn't come into play. I really like NYCFC's matchup. However, I think I want an NYCFC defender, and I have some more players that I want from their field as well. So considering a Fry Stuver, Colorado hasn't been scoring great, but I don't always trust that Seattle back line. So I'm kind of tinkering between the three of them. For defenders, I also like Callens. Martins had also posted up a great week, team of the week numbers in this double game week. But Callens has been previously more consistent in a bit of a normalcy stretch lately, the last couple of rounds, but still. I like Moreira from Columbus. I like Columbus defense this week. I think I like Kai Wagner just for these assists that he continues to rack up. He's leading MLS in assists right now. It might be a bench play because I don't know if I think they'll shut out Orlando at Orlando, Philly on the road there, but they've been doing so well on the road anyways. And then I'm sticking with Gabrielson from Austin for that kind of petering out Red Bull attack. So those are who I'm looking at this week. Blayne, who do you like?
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same boat on a lot of it. I'm changing things up a little bit after kind of rereading through the injury report. I've got Johnson to Fry as my premium keeperoo. I can't seem to get off of that. I don't like any of the other keepers that I could see early and then get that, because I really don't want to go to Stuver on the second day. I think Red Bull can score. I don't like any of those second day matchups. I don't want to go with the Sunday keeper. I was trying to get Fry on the back end. I don't know if it's going to work. I may just take a flyer with somebody cheap and roll to Fry because I can, because that's who I really want as my primary keeper. And I don't really want to start with Fry and try to roll to somebody else. I just think So that's where I'm at. But I agree. I want my New York City players elsewhere. And one of those I want one of their wing backs in this game. I don't care. I love Callens, but Callens is coming off of a 7 in a single game.
Yeah.
One of his lowest clean sheet score he's had all year, really. It's just I didn't see enough from him coming back from a minor injury, but it's Miami. I want one of the wingbacks that's going to be getting forward, going to be overlapping. I want to see if I can grab some offensive points here. I think Amundsen is probably the one to go with. If Tinnerholm somehow starts, I will probably make it him. Gray is also on my list.
I will say Amundsen goes down the same side as DeAndre Yedlin, which is a player that I like normally for them. If that comes into play with your wing back.
Yeah. I just want those offensive points from somebody. I think they're going to be involved this week. So I'm really looking there. For that same reason, I'm going back to Wagner. Even though it's a road game, even though it's Orlando's been giving up goals. He's going to be involved. It's just he's a hard one to shy away from at that point. And that same one, I think your differential players this week are going to be your guys that are going to get involved in the attack because I see some good matchups. So I'm going with Brody from Real Salt Lake.
Okay.
He likes to push up. I watched him play against Sporting. He was in and around the box. He was always making dangerous runs. He was putting the ball in. Against a team like Dallas who has struggled on the road defensively, I think he's got some potential for some major offensive points. His average this season has been pretty good. I'm looking at those type of guys this week, and those are my clean sheet shots. I think those are good. So I'm kind of leaning clean sheets and then offensive production there.
Yep.
Because I see some clean sheets in here. I see some other games that I'm like, ooh, this looks interesting. Like Portland. I'd love to take a Portland wingback against San Jose. I think they've got some potential there, but I don't like the clean sheet shot because Abobasi has been playing so well. Monteiro moving up into the central spot has helped that team a lot. I'm struggling for certain teams, but those guys I like for their offensive potential in decent defensive matchups.
I will throw in a super homer possible choice if you are interested in the offensive potential with the Sounders of Nuhu. I don't know what is going on. Hear me out. Obviously, I watch them. This guy keeps getting up the field in a way that we haven't seen him do all season. And now both Yamar and Arriaga are back. So they'll switch to a 4-back where he's playing, on the wing. He was having to play as like a third center back for a little bit with that Reagan red card. So he's insane. Every time I talk about him, I always say he could get a red card or 2 assists. But for offensive bonus points, I mean, no one's going to pick him up. So I think he might be a differential. Alex Roldan is more consistent, but he's been going back and forth with a foot injury. So he didn't start the second game. I don't know how serious that is. I don't think it's very serious, but I don't love the Seattle clean sheet shout for this weekend. But I think Nuhu or Alex Roldan could be decent offensive bonus point producers for Seattle. But I agree with you that there's a lot of very positive, not just offensive bonus points. Nuhu goals coming, Patrick. Offensive bonus points, but just general defensive bonus points too, and a lot of these wingback positions. So even if you don't like the matchup, I think there's some good choices with some of these consistent point producers, right? Okay, midfielders. This for me, I had a lot of fun going through this. Some really juicy choices for midfielders this week. Who do you like this week, Blayne?
Yeah, so I think there are 3 names that are going to be on everybody's team. And if you're fighting for Champions League, if you're still trying to get in, I think these 3 names you really kind of have to set in your team and forget about changing them for the rest of the week. And that's Zella, Mukhtar, and Gald. I think those 3 are going to be in the vast majority of lineups. It's going to be hard to get away from them. Gald might be the weakest of those, but Vancouver is looking better each week. They're starting to score a little bit more. If Kubas is back, that makes them even better. Chicago has not been a team that I have been super high on.
Mhm.
Defensively, they're so hit and miss at times. They started off the season so well. It's going to be one of those matchups. I like the way Gald's playing. I like the results he's got lately. I think he's hot right now, and you ride a hot player while he's there. Mukhtar is self-explanatory, and with no Lucho, that means that Cincinnati's going to absorb a little bit more pressure. It is a road game again for Mukhtar, but he's really strong right now.
Mhm. A
And
lot of
then
his goals are PKs, but he's
yeah,
still in form. I think it's fair to note, right?
and yeah, and a lot of his goals are PKs. That is one knock against him at times, but this Nashville team has been drawing PKs consistently for
Yeah.
a couple of seasons now.
Yeah. Do you not remember when Zlatan would draw his own and score them
Yeah.
over and over and over?
And then Zella is just Zella. Zella might be the best midfielder in the game at the moment.
Yeah. Coming back from that injury, he's looked.
And Revolution are not the greatest defensive team at the moment, so you got to go with it. So then we get into the differentials, and
Sure.
I know you've got one name that I really want. It's lineup dependent on that one for me.
Yeah.
And I'll let you talk about him because if he is starting at that spot, I want him.
Yep.
Beyond that, I'm kind of all over the place. I tried a couple different ones. I kind of like Gazdag on the road. His recent form has been stellar. Orlando has not been great defensively. I think this is a chance for him to grab some more points. That will be Orlando lineup dependent, though. If I see Moutinho and Antonio Carlos starting, I'm probably going to get away from this and go with somebody else. I have Ladero at the moment. I don't trust Colorado's. Yeah, I don't trust Colorado's defense, especially on the road. Danny Wilson is out. This is a team that can score. He's the bonus point guy. I actually struggled with midfielders a little bit. Like I like Reynoso. I know he's going to pop up on a lot of lists, but going to Houston, Houston's had a better defense. I didn't see a lot of home guys I like, especially with Lucho out. Driussi and Fagundes is a crapshoot on who's going to go off. Blanco and Yimi again, another crapshoot on who's going to go off.
Well, Blanco's out and Yimi hasn't gone off.
And Yimi's not doing it on his own. It's like, what do? Do you go with Ruiz for Salt Lake? Like, there's a ton of differential picks this week. I think you lock in the three big names, and then from there, you kind of pick who you like best, and it's all over the place. I'm struggling to find it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that first lineup answers a lot of my questions.
To add to some of the picks that you had, yes, I love Zella this week. I think we all knew once he came back to fitness, he'd come back to his normal self, and it really helps that he's got a striker to play to right now, that he doesn't have to play that false nine like they were doing before Chucho came in. I also like Gald. Gald put up very quietly, I think, an 11 and a 9 in the double game week. Should have been a 12. He got a yellow card in the first game, and he had a goal and 2 assists across those 2 games. I didn't buy into the Gald hype earlier in the season when a lot of you guys really liked him, and then he kind of got hurt, and then the team kind of, had trouble around him, and then he got hurt again. But I also like him this week. I just think that Chicago is vulnerable, especially on the road. So that's a pick that I agree with and like as well. I like Mukhtar. Mukhtar on the road seems to do pretty well. I mean, they're doing well in general, but I feel like he does pretty well. I like Santi. I think some of it depends on that lineup for me. Is Tati playing? Is Tati not playing? Is it Aber, who has only started once this season? That kind of makes a difference for me. Reynoso's definitely in form, but he's traveling, right? He's on the road this week and playing in Houston, who is okay. Houston can be a really tough place to play. It can get super hot. Hector Herrera is starting there now, which I think will kind of clog that midfield up a little bit. So I don't know if I like him as much there. Their defense is okay. I mean, it's not terrible and it's not great. So that's, it's not a defense I necessarily would bet against. And like I said, Reynoso is in form. So I'm considering it. But then I like what you said about Gazdag. I don't know if I like it as much with Bedoya out. It kind of changes some of that positioning in the midfield. He's also one that's putting up some PK goals the last couple games, which I worry can be misleading, but I do like Philly and I like them, in Orlando, who can't quite get all their defensive starters back, right? Galese can be a brick wall at times, though. Yeah. And then, Yeah, the one name that I kind of have asterisk for me is Mihalovic with Montreal at DC United, who's in shambles and defensively just garbage. I always hesitate with a player that's fresh back from injury. Best case scenario, he would be a bench play for me. But I'm just interested to see that lineup. I just kind of want to see the lineup DC put out for their second game was nuts. And you know, I'm just like I said, I'm interested to see how Montreal what their lineup is, and if he's in it. Like I said, it might be a bench spot, but I don't think he'll go the full game. They would be smart to slowly bring him back for how long he was out and how influential he was, you know, before he got injured. I mean, he was an MVP candidate for crying. He was called into national team camp. So I don't think they'll rush it. So maybe neither should I. But I'm definitely paying attention. I like your Ladero shout too. It's hard for me as a Sounders fan right now looking at them in fantasy because they're just kind of off as a team, which makes me wonder how to pick them in fantasy. I agree that I think Colorado in Seattle is a vulnerable defense. For me, picking up Nico Ladero or anybody else offensively depends on the lineup. Is Rui Diaz back in it? Is Nico playing as a 10? Because they were playing him and Rusnak kind of next to each other, and neither of them are producing points from that. Mm-hmm. So if you see, you know, Danny Leyva in the middle, and maybe Rui Diaz, I think that Nico could be a good differential this week. But he's not someone that I had in my initial draft. Some other names that we're seeing in chat is Almada. I mean, maybe. LA Galaxy defense isn't great, but it's hard to tell with Atlanta right now. Maybe some of our Atlanta guys can chime in a little better, but that road, and especially last game of the week, offense isn't one that I love. I also saw Sifu, I thought was interesting, strangely in form. He's got like 3 goals, right, in the past, I think 5 games maybe. And they're at Sporting, which you admitted is in also defensive shambles. So I think that he might be a differential pick. To me, that one also kind of depends on lineup and where LAFC are positioned. But both those midfielders are road midfielders, which is not something I usually navigate toward. One name I didn't see in chat in life, unless I missed it, and didn't come out of either of our mouths, which is strange, is Heel. Is there a reason for that? Why you like Carlos this week? He didn't even come to my mind, honestly.
No, it's a road game. He's one of those home only guys for me at the moment.
Yeah.
Columbus, yes, they're down Morera. Zella's back. We're talking about the offense, but with offense is possession. This team is holding the ball. This team is doing better. I think the opportunities for New England are going to be limited. And honestly, New England's just not been that team for me this year. I can't tell you the last time I had Heel. It's been a couple of weeks, I think. He's just not been on my radar like he used to be. I'm seeing other guys that are scoring more. I mean, I've got a couple of other guys ahead of him. I've got Gazdag in there ahead of him at the moment. You mentioned my one, and I was going to let you have it, but Santi's my other one that I would start over him in a heartbeat if he's the 10. I think that all comes down. You only take Santi if he's playing the 10. If he's playing the 10 against Miami, he's a must-own this week. If he's not playing the 10, then you may look at Maxi. You may just avoid a midfielder there in New York City altogether. But yeah, I can't go Heel. I can't do it. He's playing a good defense. Columbus is still a good defense when they've got everybody healthy. Morera's out, but that wingback position is not crucial to their defense. I don't see it.
Yeah. I mean, I should point out that apparently 1 million of chat said Heel, and we missed it, and that's our fault, apparently. But quietly in this past round of their single game at Philly, he put up a 9 with just 1 assist, which is definitely decent. And that Philly defense, for me, is a better defensive lineup than Columbus's defense. So I think he has the opportunity. I also think it's fair to say that Bo is clicking. And just like we're saying for Zella, Heel plays better when he has a good striker. So when Buxa got in form, when Bo got in form this past season, the points really started to come for him. As Bo took a minute to kind of get going again while Buxa left, I think we saw that with some like fives, from Heel. But I don't think he's bad to have him. It's just a name that didn't stand out to me because it's a road game, but I think that that's, rude of us to have overlooked such a prolific point scorer. And like I said, a quiet 9 on a single game week against a good Philly defense is not.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if he was the Heel that's giving you 8-9 every week, I'm great. But the 2 weeks before that, okay, Philadelphia's a good defense. New York City's a good defense. He put up a 6. Mm-hmm. FC Cincinnati, and this was a home game for him, is not as good of a defense. They're better than they have been in years past. He put up a 5.
Yeah.
He went to Vancouver and only got a 7.
Yeah, I see your point. I think it makes sense to have him. There were some players that I liked more than him out the gate, just from being either in more apparent form or home games. And so I don't think it's fair to overlook him. I don't think he has to be a lot or a lock. But I mean, he's Carlos Heel. It's not, you can never overlook him, especially when he's playing, like I said, a defense that isn't incredibly prolific like Columbus.
Hey, chat's giving me crap. I'm not never Heel. I will have him in week 20 versus Toronto. Preview for next week. You can't ignore Heel against a bad Toronto defense at home.
Yeah, no.
But on the road at Columbus, no thanks.
Guys, also let's be fair. Blayne is in certain situations has slowly started to come around to, I could see if you'd Vela, but I won't because I said I won't. So I mean, he's not an always never, but also, he is kind of a never. Okay, let's get out of here and move into some strikers. You and I were very different in this particularly. So interested to see what everybody else has to say and why we like what we like. For myself, I like Chucho. I don't know that he'll go full 90, but I like what he'll do. New England's backline keeps kind of rotating. I don't know how locked in that the goalkeeper is. He's been kind of hit or miss. I like how he and Zella are playing, and it's a home game, his second home game. So I think that he's a lock for me. I like Tati. If Tati is here and he's in that lineup, he's in my lineup. It looks like it'll be his last game. I'm not going to pivot directly to whoever is playing instead of Tati, though. I just like Tati, sentimentally, if that is his last game. It's at Yankee Stadium. Like I said, everything that I've read about his transfer seems locked in. So if he's there and he's playing, he's on my team. I also like Chicho. Spencer keeps making fun of me because he's like, "Are you saying Chicho or Chucho? Is it Chicho?" I'm like, "Okay, I'm saying Chicho." I like Arango for LAFC this week. I know it's a road game. He'd be a bench play. But again, not to pile on you while you're down, but SKC defense, it's just an easy one to bet against. And LAFC, if they get Bale more minutes, and he's just scoring so consistently. And then I'm paying attention to Tati. I know that they said, what was it? It was tightness. It was taxi.
Yeah.
There's too many similar names. Look at now I understand why Spencer yells at me. I am just mumbling them all together at this point. I just like Taxi's consistency, but he doesn't seem to go a full 90. And I don't know if he's healthy, right? Like he sat, the injury notes are kind of vague. So those are the 4 strikers that I'm considering. But out the gate, like I said, Chucho and Tati for me are locks if Tati's starting.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Chucho's probably I won't even say probably, best goals per 90 of any newcomer to MLS to start his campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 4 goals in
90 minutes.
In 90 minutes. Like, this guy is off the charts good.
Yes.
Perfect fit for this team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as long as he starts, he's in my lineup for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at it. I'm trying to be smart with this as I look to make Champions League. Savarino was a quick add. Dallas has not been a
Mm-hmm.
team that
Sorry,
I
I'm laughing at
trust.
Cam.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'll get to what Cam said in just a second. That was on my list. I don't think Tati is playing. I think he said his goodbyes. I think he's done. But I
Reports
want,
are saying this is his last game. Like that's what
yeah,
Taylor Twellman is saying. That's what some of the
yeah.
so
I mean,
it's
yeah. Whether this is his last game or not, like I will have Tati if he starts 100%. But if he doesn't start, which is what I'm assuming, I want Abear. It
okay.
was a hands down no brainer for me. I grabbed him in draft last week because I knew he was starting that first game. We still do the single game scoring on a double game week. I wanted him. I ended up not playing him, but I wanted him. He scored in that game. He has 4 MLS starts this season. He has goals in 3 of those, and one of those was a brace. This is still one of the best attacking teams in the league. Abear has been clinical when he has been on for this team. He's got a sub in goal.
And Inter Miami's missing Damian Lowe, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. This is at home in Yankee Stadium versus Miami without a starting defender, versus Miami that's been giving up goals.
Mm-hmm.
You take whatever striker is starting in this game. I don't care if it's Magno up top. You take whatever the starting striker is in this game, and at the very least throw him on your bench because New York City scores goals in Yankee Stadium. Mm-hmm. If Santi's the 10, you absolutely want this. If Maxi's the 10, I pause just a little bit and I still take the striker that's there. It's just the way this team is playing, the way this team plays in Yankee Stadium, and the way they score goals. You want whoever their starting striker is. I think it's going to be Abear this week, and I'm looking forward to it. And I know a lot of people are going to probably overlook it because it's not Tati. If it's Tati, everybody's going to have him. If it's Abear, people are going to try to look at other things. You want whoever it is. Yep. And then Cam said it. I was going to joke about it. With as bad as things are right now, Bale for a hat trick this week.
No, he's not even going to play 30 minutes, you guys.
You know, Sporting's that bad. You put him in late cameo and let him run that wing. Who knows? Cam said it. Yeah, I think he said Bale for captain against Sporting. With the way things are going, no Melia, no Ford. Zusi's been injured and out. Now we've got Espinoza out of the middle. That's our only real destroyer we have. Like, it's gonna be hard. I don't know where the goals come from. The Sifu shouts in the midfield section were really nice.
Yeah.
It's just I want to see who starts. I would like Arango if he's up top for sure. I'm starting to bet against my own team a lot, and I tried that last week and it didn't work, so we'll have to see. I'm just betting against them, hoping it gets them 1 or 2 more results and they avoid the wooden spoon. That's really what it is.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's something on the other side of it kind of to pay attention to is Bale subbed in for Chicho Arango. So if they're looking to get Bale more minutes, I don't think he's going to start, right? But if they're looking to get Bale more minutes, it's probably at the expense of Arango's minutes. Arango got subbed out in the 76th, 74th, and 72nd, and he picked up no bonus points, just 7 points goals. He's scoring so consistently, right? He's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in his last 7. 6 goals in his last 7 games, but they are just goals, no bonus points. And again, he was the one who got the sub for Bale. So it's something to pay attention to. You know, I'm not even going to bring up Vela because I know how Blayne feels about it. But I think we're all kind of just joking, at least I hope so, about bringing Bale into your starting 11. Maybe a differential. I mean, if you see his name in that lineup, I don't think it's terrible, but I would be very surprised for him to go a full 90. Give it a couple of weeks. They're the first place. They're the Shield winners right now, in points. He's going to play, and he's going to light things up, and we're going to all start picking him eventually. I don't know if at Sporting this week is the week to pick him up, is all I'm going to say.
Oh, it's totally a joke, but I think you've got some options here. If I saw that he was starting up top, flanked by Rodriguez and Vela against Sporting, I would be really tempted to take Severino out for that because of the way Sporting has played, because of the space that could be there. I think it's situational. I think it's early enough. I think we have to actually have Bale on the radar. It's an early enough game. You can pivot to some other players easy enough.
Yeah.
I mean, Severino's after him. Brian White, if you want to go that route, he's a name that's not going to be talked about much, but he's been scoring a little more lately. If you really don't trust Chicago, you think Gald's going to have it this week, Brian White's usually the beneficiary of that.
Sure.
Like, we've got some options. I'd never trust a Rudy, but Austin's there. And then I wish the LA game was early. Because if it's Javelchik, I want him for this game. If it's Chicharito, I'm staying away from this one, and I hate that because I can't pivot.
Yeah, that's a name we're seeing a lot in chat that's worth mentioning is Joveljic. He's been consistent next to or without Chicharito. But yeah, as you know, if you long time listen to us, we tend to hesitate with that last game of the week unless it's something that we feel super strongly about. Just strategic wise, it's really hard to see how those players do unless you want to make him a bench play and see if he can fight for points with the rest of your bench. But I think it just kind of depends. I'm gonna do a thorough scroll now so nobody yells at me to make sure that I didn't miss any other prominent names. I see some taxis, see a lot of Chuchos and Sava for RSL. Again, Chicharito was in health and safety protocol this past week, so pay attention to that if you're thinking of him. So not too many other big names that I think we missed. So with that, I say let's go ahead and head into captains. For me, this was easy, but it looks like for you we differed. Who are you picking with the armband this week, Blayne?
This is so tough for me because I like the way they're playing. I like the way they're playing together. And the obvious pick is to go Zella. I think a lot of people are going to do that with his current form. But with the way he plays with Zella, I think Cucho might be the better one. If you start telling me Zella's going to have 2 assists, and that's what I'm going with him for, other than a free kick masterpiece or taking a penalty, I think Cucho outscores him outside of those 2 scenarios most weeks because it's going to be Zella picking up 3 with a bonus point and Cucho picking up 5. I think Cucho outscores him, all things considered.
Yeah, I disagree fully, and I'm going Zella Ryan. I understand the mathematical angle you just took there. 100% I do. But I think that Zella Ryan gets so many more bonus points. He takes their penalty kicks. He takes their free kicks. He takes some of their corner kicks. I think he's in a position to rack up more little points and continue to contribute. And we watched that game, the Hell is Real Derby. Sorry, Reid. Glad you're not here for this. And Zella could have had 2 goals after Chucho came out. The way they kind of move him positionally when Eric Hurtado comes in, I mean, it's kind of the same. But he was on the doorstep twice. So I like them both. I think both of them should be in everybody's team this week. But for me, the captain goes on Zella. And some of this might be a little bit of the tendency that Reid and I both have, which is not to captain a striker. And I do have to say, just to totally contradict myself, just for sentimental reasons, because I've already made Champions League, I might captain Tati if Tati's starting. If this is his swan song, he's leaving, it's done. If he's playing, I might just do it against Inter. Just for myself, that might not be great advice to anybody else, and that's what we're supposed to be doing is giving advice. But I think Zella is a lock at captain this week, but I might get sentimental and throw Tati out there.
Shout just makes too much sense, though. And
I know.
Like, guys going out, that's why I don't think he's playing. I really don't think he's playing. I don't think he wants to risk the injury before he goes. I think there's too much money involved in this maneuver. I think Citigroup owns too much of New York City to actually let them risk their asset that way.
Sure.
I don't think he's playing. But if
he very well could be right.
Yeah, if he's playing for pride at this point. I can see him putting up a hat trick on this one. It is Yankee Stadium. It's a terrible Miami defense. Lowe is out. Like, everything is lined up for this to be. This is the team. If you're going to triple up on offense, New York City is the team you're going to triple up with this week. Tati's the one to go with. Somebody's saying Tati's red dotted in the game.
I don't trust the dots. We don't trust the dots.
I think that's Christian. A hangover from last week where he was suspended for the first game. He was.
It is from last week because he was red dotted for the second game too. So, don't. I want it. I want him to play one more. Don't take this away from me with the dot nonsense. And to be clear, Miles Robinson is still green dotted in the game. So, I'm not trusting the dots. Okay, I think we've got some good choices. I'm seeing a lot of Zella in chat. Reid is chatting in here that he does not enjoy my Tati captain shout, and that's fine. This is just for me, for sentimental reasons. I will miss him in his short shorts. But I think Chucho could come in here and steal that. So, yeah, I hear your Chucho shout for captain, but I will raise you a Zella Ryan, and that is where I think I will leave it. Okay, per, our homage to Reid, do we have any plugs this week? Do you have any plugs?
Just the Discord. They're a great group of people, fun to hang out with, watch games with, interact with, share alcohol recipes with. I mean, there's a little bit of everything over there. So if you're not part of it, go join. MLSFantasyBoss.com/Discord, I think, is the link. Otherwise, MLSFantasyBoss.com, and there's a Discord button at the top. Yeah,
I second that. I can't tell you how valuable that community has been for fantasy and for other things. I want to do a very selfish plug and plug the husband who squeaked in, thanks to Zella Ryan, into Champions League this year for the second year in a row. It is now the one reigning fantasy stat he has over me that I have not been able to achieve, as he's now made Champions League 2 seasons in a row. I didn't make it last year, so he has that to hold over me, and I think he'll do that for a long time, and as he should. So shout out to Spencer for making Champions League this past round, and for all of you who didn't, there's still one more opportunity. This last window is the last window for this season to make it in, and I know that there were some kind of errors in there for this particular round where there were some people who'd already qualified that were in the top 50. So there's a chance if you were close that you might have actually made it. I know that they were updating that. So yeah, that is all we have. Good luck on making your picks this week. Round 19. And as Reid will say, as always, good luck. All right, Lady Boss, turn us off. Oh, we didn't plug her. Sorry, Reid, I just saw it. I'm not good at reading the chat. Plug to Lady Boss for turning off our stream and helping out Reid and being sick. Bless her heart. Moms do so much, you guys. I said good luck, Reid. You got me thinking with that Chucho, but I don't think I can do it. I think Zella's way too much of a lot.
45, 68. He's tracking for 80 minutes.
You're being too logical mathematically with that, though. And there's a small, what does Ryan always say? There's a small sample size.
Yeah. It's just, you watched him get 28 the first time, and then he went half, and then he went 68. They're just slowly bringing his minutes up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I don't know. I guess I could see.
They just traded Barry. I mean, they don't have their next guy to put in.
Hurtado. Eric Hurtado is the sub in.
Yeah, but I mean,
I think that he'll go 65 minutes.
I think
I think he could score 2 goals in 65 minutes. So, I mean, I don't think but it's hard to tell with him yet because he's so new if he's going to be a Yosef or, or Arango, where it's just goal minutes played, or if he can produce more, like a Bo, like so like Tati can, right? So I think it's so hard to tell. And Zella to me is so locked in already. So that's why I think it's a little easier. But like you said, if you're trying to make Champions League and you want to try to do some bold things right out the gate, that wouldn't be a terrible way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, the logic's there. I'll probably end up going Zella for sure, just because the bonus points.
Yeah.
If they don't get a bunch of goals, I don't fall that much farther behind.
Yeah.
Try to stay with the pack on some of those and let my differentials that I like for some of the other ones work.
I think when you're trying to make Champions League, though, and I mean, I didn't make it last year, but I also didn't do this, and I feel like that's what kind of hurt me. I feel like in the first couple of weeks is when it's best to kind of take those risks and then do your chalky pack
recording
picks
stopped
to stay in it. Thanks, Lady Boss.
Thank you.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, there's not losing touch with the pack, and that's what gets me. And I think if Kucho doesn't score and Zella gets another 8-10, you're starting to lose touch with the pack right there. You got to pick up the chalk enough to at least hang around and let your differentials do the work.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Oh no, poor Lady Boss. We gotta turn off the stream.